Let me look right into the camera.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Magic isn't real.
Yeah, and if you've got those powers, I mean, you gotta, you can cover your face and then display your powers. Like if you don't want your identity to be revealed,
What are you asking for? Videos to be sent to us?
Yeah, Listen, for anybody watching, if you have any of these powers, you know what? Reach out to me in the comments. I will make sure that your identity stays safe, and then we will work through getting you the recognition that you deserve.
And we're recording. Hey guys, before we get into the discussion today, I want to do a quick magic trick with you at home. So, first thing I'm going to ask you is, I need you to pick a random number between 1 and 10. All right, you guys got it? Whatever the number is, I need you to multiply it by 9. Okay, now if it's a 2-digit number, I need you to add together whatever those two numbers are. So let's say you came up with a number like 27. Well, then you would add the 2 and the 7 together. Okay? Now you got your new number. Okay, whatever that number is, I need you to subtract 5. Okay, you guys got your new number? All right, now we're going to correspond that, whatever that number is, to a letter of the alphabet. So if your number is 1, it would be A. If your number is 2, it would be B. If your number is 3, it would be C, and so on, right? Okay, now with that new letter that you have, I need you to think of a country. Think of any country that starts with that letter. Okay, now take the second letter in that country, and I need you to think of any animal that starts with that letter. Okay, you guys got it? You got your country, and you got your animal. And let's do one more thing. Let's take the last letter of the animal that you chose and think of a precious stone. Like if the letter is D, it would be diamonds, or if it is R, it would be rubies. Okay, you guys got it? Okay, now how many people are thinking of elephants in the country Denmark with topaz? Is that what you were thinking?
I didn't know you had magic powers.
I don't. Because magic isn't real.
Oh, yeah.
Do you believe in magic?
No, I think it's all just illusions.
But that was what you were thinking, right? Elephants, Denmark,
Yes. Yeah.
topaz.
Yep.
Okay. Now let's break down why that worked.
Okay.
Because I think that's what the majority of the people are thinking.
Oh, yeah,
Some
for
people
sure.
it might not have worked with, but most people it did.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So the first thing I asked you guys to do was pick a number between 1 and 10. You could pick any number. Let's say you picked 5, okay? Then I said the second thing you need to do is you need to multiply it by 9. So let's just do that right now. What's 9 times 5? 45.
45, yeah.
Okay. And the third thing I asked you to do was add those two numbers together if it was a 2-digit number. So you could have picked 1.
Oh, yeah, okay.
If you picked 1, your number would be 9. So in that case, you would have done nothing. But in this example, we said 5, which is 45. So 4 plus 5 is 9. So either way, we come up with 9. Even if we would have chose, let's say, 3. 3 times 9 is 27. 2 plus 7 is 9.
Still.
You always get 9.
Yep, you sure do.
So that's the trick. See, then from that point, I asked you to subtract 5. So you're always going to end up with 4 because everyone got 9.
Yeah.
So now that I've pushed you into, on your own, randomly selecting the number 4, then I said correspond it to a letter. And I told you 1 meant A, 2 meant B, 3 meant C. So then 4 is D.
Yeah.
So now everyone's gotten D.
Right.
Okay. Unless you did your math wrong. Now, if you did your math wrong, then you're probably like, no, that's not what I got at all. Okay. But once you got D, how many countries can you think of with D?
Yeah, there's maybe 5, but
But I think most people are going to select Denmark.
Yeah,
Some people might select like Dominican Republic or
Right.
something like that, but most people are going to select Denmark.
Right.
And then the second letter in Denmark is E. So how many animals do you know that start with the letter E?
Yeah.
Well, elephant, I would say, is probably
the most popular one.
the most popular one. And then the last letter in elephant is T. How many precious stones do you know that start with the letter T?
I think it's only the one I could think of.
Yeah. I'm sure there probably are other ones that we're not aware of, but these are the most popular choices, and that's how I was able to predict what you guys randomly or didn't randomly pick.
Yeah. So where'd you learn this magic trick?
Yeah, this isn't my invention, and I don't know actually who wrote it, but where I saw it was there's a magician on YouTube, very popular, and he does a lot of puzzles. Chris Ramsey, his stuff is great. You guys should check it out. But he kind of talks about what we are going to talk about today. We're going to talk about like extra powers or ESP or psychics or any of that.
Yeah.
And I, at least from what I've gathered from Chris's videos, he thinks the way that Penn Jillette thinks from Penn and Teller, and or the way Randy the Magnificent thinks. Magic is great entertainment, but it is not real.
Yeah.
And a lot of people believe that it is. And I thought we could talk today about what a scam it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it sure is a scam.
And how we've talked several times about how we don't really have respect for people that hold it up as real.
Yeah.
Now, magicians like Penn and Teller and Chris Ramsey,
Yeah.
that is great entertainment. It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
But it's not the same as like some of these psychics that say, "Oh, I can talk to your loved ones," or
yeah, and we did a show a few weeks ago where we talked about 80s TV, 80s and 90s TV.
That's right.
And one thing that I didn't mention that this kind of relates to is there used to be this commercial, and it was like the Psychic Friends Network.
Yes.
Did you ever see that?
Yeah, with Cleo. Or I'm not doing the impression correctly, but she had like a what was it? It was like a Creo kind of wasn't it?
Yeah. I think so.
Like a New Orleans kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't she sued?
I believe that she was. I mean, she may have been like the most popular one on there, but I know that there were a few different, like I think like Dionne Warwick was the host. Dionne Warwick, popular singer.
Oh, yes. You know what? Okay, I was thinking that they were sued because, psychics aren't real.
Yeah.
But when I Googled it, it just said that they were sued on the basis that they owned the character Miss Cleo. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not the direction we were going. But yes, I remember Dionne Warwick.
Yeah. So I don't know. It is just funny because, definitely a lot of people want to believe that psychics are real and, that they can.
I think it gives people hope.
Yeah, it does, and, the methods that they use, I mean, it could be considered kind of cruel, but because they're really giving people's hopes up. Yeah.
And I'd also think it reaffirms their belief in maybe an afterlife. Like, look, there's proof.
Yeah.
But, a lot of the people I'm naming, I said Chris Ramsey. I also said Penn and Teller or Penn Jillette, and Randy the Magnificent. These are all magicians. And what does that have to do with psychic readings and extra powers and things like that? Is that the psychics are actually just using the same tricks that the magicians use to pull off their tricks or their entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's why they are a lot of times the most qualified to point out exactly how the scam works. Because we've all seen magic shows and you think, how did they do that? Except for you go into a magic show knowing that they are going to trick you somehow,
Right.
which is kind of the fun.
Yeah.
But you go into a psychic thinking you're going to talk to someone that you're related to,
Right.
or is a friend that has passed away.
Sometimes it feels like the magicians, even though they don't want to give away their secrets and their,
Right.
know, but they are not like pawning it off as more than just like sleight of hand or something.
Yeah, I mean they're telling you it's a trick.
Yeah.
In fact, they even call it a trick. Like, hey, you want to see a card trick? You want to see this?
Yeah.
At no point are they like, you want to see my powers?
Yeah. Right.
Unless that's part of like the joke. But
Yeah.
you don't walk in going, this is real.
Yeah. Right.
Some people can make themselves levitate. I don't believe any human being can actually just fly underneath their own powers.
Yeah.
Do you?
No. But what about that one dude that will levitate? David Blaine, is that what his name is?
Oh, yeah. You know what though? David Blaine takes it to another level where he almost just kind of does also like unbelievable stunts where you're just amazed, like, I can't believe a human being survived doing that.
Yeah.
Or now you've got me thinking of David Blaine. He does that thing where he's able to swallow live frogs.
Oh, yeah.
And then regurgitate them on command. So it looks like he is just producing frogs.
Yeah.
But in reality, he's conditioned himself so that he can swallow a frog and then get it back at any point. But no, back to sorry. Back to psychics and stuff like that. Do you believe in any of that?
Let me think real long hard on this one. No.
Okay. What about telepaths? Somebody that can read someone's mind.
Nah, I'm gonna say no on that too.
Okay. What about telekinesis? Somebody who can move stuff with their mind.
Let's see. That's a big no.
Okay. So you don't have magical thinking then?
None of that. Oh, you mean like, do I have the powers myself? And I just want to like.
Sure. No. Okay. So either do I.
Yeah.
And here's my deal with that. It's not real.
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, some of our viewers, we made some comments about astral projecting, and we made some comments about, flat Earth. That seems to get people in the comments kind of angry. And that's not what we're doing here. What we're doing here is we're just almost more like a public service announcement.
Okay.
We can go through some of the tricks and tips that they use, but also, just the evidence that it's not real and there's no evidence to prove that it is real.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the psychic, what was it called again? The psychic
Friends
Network. Yes, I was thinking psychic hotline, but Psychic Friends Network.
Yeah.
Did you ever know anyone that called one?
I probably did. Me and my friends probably made messing around and called it because it was a 1-800 number or whatever. But no. But at the top of my head, I can't think of anyone who like legitimately.
But they made you pay for it though, even though it was a 800 number, right?
Yeah. But I think you might be able to get like.
You had to give your credit card or something. I thought. So I actually did go to a psychic one time.
Oh.
It was I was in Chicago with my friends, and we were just bar hopping, and between these bars, there was a psychic, and we were all laughing about it. And so we decided that it would be funny to go in and get a reading, and then we could all talk about what she said.
Yeah.
I will tell you, this was a little freaky, but not magical powers. At one part, she predicted that It was springtime. And she said, in the next couple months, you're going to be going on vacation. Well, right there is a tell on how that works. Most people go on vacation in the summertime.
Yeah.
It's a pretty simple guess. So I said yes, which the issue with that is now she's leading me and I'm feeding into her her whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
She basically says, you know, hey, it's about to be summertime. Hey, you're going on vacation? I say yes. Okay, so now she knows I'm going on vacation. I should have probably just sat there quietly and said, well, why don't you tell me what's going to happen? But the freaky thing that she did say is that I'm going to meet, this is where I think it was weird, a childhood friend that I have not seen since I was a little kid on this vacation through, how does she put it? Through friends of other people that are there or something like that. Either way, that year, and this happened, I don't know, 15 years ago, I saw a friend of, it was like, let me explain this. It's my parents' friend's son that I hadn't seen in a long time.
Okay.
And when it happened, I was like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
But if you really break it down,
well, wait.
what are the chances that that's going to come true?
Yeah. So where were you going on vacation? Like, was it? Because that's what it was, right? You said.
Yeah, we used to rent a house around a lake, and we'd stay there for like a week.
But like it was outside the country.
No.
Yeah. Was it a popular tourist destination?
Yeah, it's like a little resort town.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole thing was, I got to say, is weird, but it doesn't mean anything. It's sort of like the elephant topaz Denmark thing.
Well,
it sounds weird until you break it down, and then you're like, oh.
I don't know. I mean, listen, you've had firsthand psychic experience, and you still don't believe this lady.
Okay, so now you're just trying to rile me up. But no, you know, we also talked about like cold reading.
Yeah.
I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I've heard musicians talk about this before. In the United States, most people's names start with either like S or the letter M. And so if you go out into a crowd and you go, I'm getting a name here. Spirit is telling me a name. It starts with a letter S or maybe M. And you just kind of look around the room, and the first person who peeks up, you go, yes, an M? No, an S. Okay, an S. And then a lot of times they'll just say the name. And then you're like, yeah, that's what I was getting. So you're just cold reading the crowd, and you're playing the statistics into your hand to say, you know, somebody in the room was going to okay that because of just the sheer numbers alone. One of the things we were talking about this, Randy the Magnificent, whose real name is James Randi, who unfortunately passed away a couple years ago. He had a foundation set up to basically disprove these scams because he was tired of people being scammed.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Especially psychics, because they're basically preying on people who just lost somebody.
Yeah.
And he had $1 million reward. And he basically said, hey, if you can prove that you have some type of extra ability, like the ability to move things with your mind or read other people's minds, or tell the future, or do things like bend spoons or whatever, you know, just come on his show, or not his show, but come to his foundation. And a lot of times it was done on television and things like that. And people would make claims on television. But he would just say, if you can do it in a scientific manner where we can document what you're doing, then he'd give you the $1 million. But yet that prize went on for years and years and years. I think it was something like, 20 years? And nobody's ever claimed it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a long time for like $1 million. Did he show proof he had the money? Maybe that's why nobody came through, because they were like, what are you talking about?
He definitely had the money. Yeah. The point is that nobody stepped up.
Yeah.
And several times people would go on like late night shows or talk shows and call him out and go, no, I really have powers. I'll take your test. but then they wouldn't.
Oh yeah.
Or he used to show up on the Johnny Carson show a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he had plenty of like psychics and people with extra powers on there. And as soon as Randy would set up around them, and all of a sudden they couldn't do the trick, or they couldn't use their powers. And they'd always have some excuse that Randy was giving them a bad vibe, or they just weren't feeling it today, or they were feeling off. I remember there was one where a guy said that he could move things with his mind, and he would set down a book. So like normally a book like this, he would turn it sideways like that so the pages folded towards you. Then he would lean down and he would look at the page and he would start moving his hands around. And he would make noises and things. And eventually he would be able to roll the page over to the other side. So then Randy's like, okay, well, let's do a test. I think that you're blowing the page over. It's like, I think somehow you are blowing a thin piece of air that pushes that page over. And he goes, no, I'm moving it with my mind. It's like, okay, well, let's do a scientific test. We're going to do it again, but I'm going to put baby powder all the way around the book. So if any of the baby powder moves, we knew that you blew it over.
Oh, yeah.
And somehow when the baby powder went down on the table,
none of the
he couldn't move the pages anymore.
Yeah. Maybe they were too heavy now, you know?
Well, he said that he was getting negative energy from Randy.
Oh, yeah.
Or it was a trick.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great entertainment, but if you were trying to sell yourself as being legit, just sell yourself as a magician. Look what I can do.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
So listen, going back real quick to the Psychic Friends Network, and it's kind of we'll tie into that. But there was an insider that worked with like the network.
Okay.
And they told ABC News, because ABC News was asking questions at the time, and they were asking like if the psychics were real, and this person's response was basically that these psychics like are not real. They're very good with people. They're very good with reading people. They know how to make people feel good about themselves. And that's like giving them the in to like.
Is that why you believe this works? Because people just want either the extra, the extraordinary. They want life to be more exciting, or the other side of it could be they just want to be comforted, or they just want to be told it's okay. And do you think that that's why these scams work?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's a large portion of the population that wants to believe that there's like more out there, that there's, especially when it comes to like death and stuff, that, that there's, that it's not finite, I guess, that it's not really the end. So, just something to hold on to. I think you mentioned that earlier too, but yeah, for people to just have hope,
See, here's my thing. A lot of this is very easily testable.
Yeah.
Even though people will claim that it's not, that it's something extraordinary, that it's, an extraordinary extra power. Like we were talking about dreaming the other week.
Yeah.
One of the things we talked about was astral projecting.
Yeah.
And we had a commenter that commented in or under our video that basically said that they have trained for a long time, and that they do it all the time, and that it's amazing.
Yeah.
But that is so easy to disprove. I mean, hey, if you have like a lucid dream where you believe that you're flying around and having an on-body experience, that's something different. That's a lucid dream. Those things are real because you're not actually flying. You're just dreaming.
Yeah, you're dreaming that you're flying. Like,
yeah, we all have imaginations. But actually flying, I mean, how easy is that to disprove? Like, let's say I were going to go into the other room and I said that I could astral project. And you would sit out here. I would go in the other room, project myself out of my body, and then I should be able to come out here and see you. So it would be very easy to run an experiment of, if I went over there to do that, once I'm in the room, you could write something down on a piece of paper. Then when I come out of the room, before I walk in here, I have to yell it from the other room what I saw, the word I saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wouldn't that just be a real easy test?
Yeah.
And if you can't read it,
Yeah.
then you weren't out of your body. You
Yeah.
were just dreaming,
Yeah.
which is fine. It's fine just to dream.
Yeah.
But to believe that there's an extra step, that you have the ability to push your soul out of your body or something.
Yeah.
Come on.
I don't believe that, people can do that, but I mean, the people that claim so, I mean, maybe they have their own evidence, or maybe they're worried that they'll be taken advantage of if they actually make this more known, make their, powers like available.
Maybe. I mean, one of the biggest, I don't know what you call it, psychic readers or someone who had extra abilities, at least in this country, was this guy, and I'm not sure if I'm saying his name correctly. I talked to him a couple times. It's either Edgar Case or Edgar Casey. I always heard it as Casey, but it's spelled a little different.
Yeah.
He claimed to have powers for years.
Yeah.
He said that way he could put himself into a trance, and when he was in that trance, that his body would be projected out to a point in the universe where he was just existing as pure energy, and then at that moment he had all the knowledge of the entire universe, and then he could know anything. Which he did do some interesting things. He evidently had an ailment that no doctor could solve, and when he went into this trance, he woke up, he told the doctor exactly how to solve it, and he was healed.
Oh, wow.
But is that story true? I don't know.
Oh.
It's a story that they tell about him.
There's no doctor to back it up?
I don't have that information. And I've never seen that information.
Yeah. Well, that's a bummer. because if there was there's one person to back it up, I mean, that seemed like they weren't on any sides, then that could be some definite proof that he was able to do those things.
Well, there was a lot of things though like that, and it's just convenient on who says what.
Yeah.
And that it wasn't done in a more scientific way where we could have had it recorded or now there are a lot of things that are written down, and one of the reasons why I was thinking of him is you were talking about people taking advantage of him. I believe his wife always sat in there to make sure that he wasn't being taken advantage of when he was in this state. But I almost believe it's like a human condition to want to believe that there are extraordinary things out there, that there are beings like in control of us or spirits we can contact, because it gives us hope, and it also makes things, I don't know, more fantastical than it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't believe in any of that. And I don't believe in things that aren't like legitimately backed up by science. Like one of the things that Randy the Magnificent would do when he would walk out and talk about quackery and fraud and scams and how people screw people over is he would talk about holistic medicines. And several times he's done this stunt, and he did it in his TED Talk we were looking at before. He came out and he opened a fresh bottle of a holistic sleep aid. Except for he didn't say it was a sleep aid. He just said it was his pills he needed to take. And then he downed the entire bottle. And then he talked for 15 minutes. And then he was like, oh, by the way, I should tell you that what I took was a holistic sleep aid. And it clearly said on the side of the bottle, do not take more than one. And if you do, then if you're overdosing, then go to the hospital.
Right.
Except then he explained how holistic medicine works and how things are literally, how do I say this? They're literally like diluted down to a point where there really isn't any of the medicine left in it.
Right.
He was just proving his point by doing this over and over again. It's not like he took them and then said, "Oh, they're sleep aids." He waited a while to the point where sleep aids should be helping you.
Right.
And then he's like, "By the way, they're sleep aids."
Yeah.
And if you notice, I'm still awake.
Yeah.
And he took way more than he should have.
Yeah.
So there should have been some adverse reaction at that point.
Yeah.
But there was nothing. You saw it.
Yeah.
I think I'm personally tired of people being scammed.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it is good entertainment. I'll give it that. Like we were talking about how many times Montel Williams had psychics
Oh,
on.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it gets people watching it.
Mm-hmm.
People love that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of people who will watch those things to, to try to, because they don't believe. They're like, this person is not psychic. They're going to be coming on here talking about some, whatever, mumbo jumbo. And,
Yeah.
I
I don't know. I guess I'm just like personally angry about it.
Yeah.
Because there's no proof.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime you ask these people to back their claims up in a controlled manner,
Mm-hmm.
never happens.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't believe in any telepathy?
No, and I'll tell you, we talked about this a little bit before about like the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot and things like that. And when I was a little kid, I thought, ooh, maybe.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, I used to think this could be the case because I would see on, I think it was like the History Channel or the Discovery Channel for all channels, and they would talk about how the United States and Russia and some of these other countries had done experiments with like telepathy or they called it like remote viewing, where somebody could just use their mind to look into somebody else's like palace or capital or whatever.
Yeah.
And I used to think, well, if the government's looking into it, but I think now as an adult, if you hear enough people say it's real and the government goes, doesn't make sense, but and it'd be awesome if it did work.
Yeah.
Let's check it out. Just because they did that doesn't mean it's real.
Yeah.
They could have just gone, oh, this is crap.
There's a lot in our society where this type of stuff is talked about. Like it's huge in movies.
It is.
And that could have an effect on some people as well. I'm thinking of movies like The Sixth Sense. Have you ever seen that?
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
I see dead people.
Yeah. And with the movie, it's such a good movie, and it like kind of throws you for a loop, but those kind of things like really hook people.
Yeah, Laura, like to a little bit more of an extreme, but like X-Men.
Yeah.
Now they called them mutants, and they didn't
Right.
say that they were humans, and they said that they were different from humans or they were mutated.
Right.
But yeah, that would be an extraordinary environment if we lived in something where people could have extra powers. It would really make life interesting.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah. So what's funny about that you mentioned that is that when you look at like Marvel and DC, there are tons of characters, maybe not all of them, but tons of characters that have some sort of ESP.
Yes.
Like look at Spider-Man. He's got, his Spidey sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we saw in the last, did you see Doctor Strange in the, what was it? The quantum
Oh, I didn't see that one yet.
Or no, maybe I'm getting confused. It wasn't. It was the last Spider-Man that Doctor Strange was in.
Oh, okay.
But either way, Doctor Strange knocked him out of his body,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow he was still able to control his body. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, well, they're saying it's because
Yeah.
of his Spidey sense, because he has a power like that.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I watch all the Marvel movies, and I think that they're awesome.
Yeah.
I watch most of the DC movies. There's a couple ones I got some problems with.
Yeah.
But don't you think if this was actually real, that people would be doing it all the time, that it would be easily provable?
Yeah.
Well, how come every time somebody stands up, like we were reading about Houdini, and Houdini was working with, what was it, Scientific America, and they were looking for The magazine was looking for anyone who could prove that they had extra powers, and they gave a prize back in the day, and nobody could do it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if it's real, then how come we don't have one person that just comes forward and goes, look, in a controlled way, in a way where we have control of the environment, or the scientists have control of the environment, and not in a way where a scam artist can control the environment like a magician does to put on a show. Again, not crapping on musicians. I love watching them. It is entertaining, but we all go in knowing it's entertainment.
Right.
And these other people go in claiming it's real.
Well, listen, there are, once again, there are, millions of people on this planet.
8 billion.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, 8 billion people on this planet.
No, I said 8.
Oh, no, I said a millions and you said 8 billion.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I thought you were saying a billion.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, no, 8 billion. It's late.
You don't think not one person has a...
I don't. And here's my deal with this. So Randy put out a prize, Scientific America, which is a very prominent magazine. I mean, it's basically the American version of Nature, which is, I think, the most prominent scientific magazine. They've both been around for a while. Why wouldn't someone come forward? Like Houdini got a little upset because his wife kind of got into this. And she was talking to people who said that they could commune with the dead through seances.
Yeah.
So he told her a word. And I think this is a very well-known story. He said, after I die, you can go talk to all these people you want if you miss me. And if they truly can talk to the dead, they'll be able to talk to me. It'll be great. But don't believe any of them until they give you the secret word that I'm only going to tell you. And she went to him for years. Not one of them gave him the word.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks because it means that she was being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's sort of like the astral projecting. Then have somebody that's not there to just, play into your delusions and just write down something.
Yeah.
Or, if you know somebody who you'd like to talk to, if they passed away before you, set up a secret word. These are very easily provable things.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why people still believe in them. I mean, I guess it goes back to what we were saying before, hope and stuff.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. There's like different tests to that they would do to try to prove or show that somebody has some of these functions. Like there's here I got one here that's called the Zener or Zener cards. I think it's Zener cards. And then these are cards like with different symbols on it.
I'll put up a picture on the screen when I'm editing this later. But you guys have probably all seen these because it was in the beginning of the original Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah. How could we forget that?
When he wasn't necessarily testing for ESP, he said he was testing, what was it? Negative reinforcement of ESP.
Yeah.
Because he kept giving the guy the shock.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Except for the guy was getting all the cards right.
Yeah.
He eventually spit his gum out on the table and he said, I'll tell you the effect. It's pissing me off.
Nice.
But okay, so there are the cards that have they have like wavy lines or a star or circle or square.
Yeah. And but
I don't know why I'm talking with my hands now.
But the bad thing about this test is, like it's like a regular deck of cards. There's like, 4 of each card and there's like 5 different designs. So it's limited, instead of maybe something more random, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe it should be a deck of, let's say it is a normal sized deck of like 52 cards. Maybe there should be 52 designs.
Yeah, exactly right. So then, you're asking someone, what's this?
Because trial and error will get you there.
Yeah, right.
And then once you get one, like let's say they only had so many in their hand, like 5.
Yeah.
Well, then you guess one, and then it's not that one, so now you only got 4, and statistically your odds get better.
Right. It's supposed to be like legitimate test that that are used to measure these abilities, even though they seem a little bit flawed. Yeah, I don't think those are very good tests because
just through the process of elimination, it seems like I agree with you, and I think that's how like a lot of these tricks work. Sort of like we were saying in the beginning, like how many animals do you know that start with the letter E?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's more than one,
Right.
but most people are going to say elephant.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that just eliminates the choices, but yet makes it sound more realistic, if that makes sense. I feel like I said that backwards, but no, wait. That made sense, right?
Yes, that makes sense. So what about the characteristic of being clairvoyant? You think that there could be a because maybe that's a little bit different.
Because clairvoyant is what? The ability to see into the future?
No, it's having like a sixth sense, like we were just saying, like
a spidey sense.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. I guess I'm thinking of precog.
Oh yeah, that one.
Precognition. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of that stuff where people believe that they have that is either a straight up scam or it's a misunderstanding. Like I've had several situations where something bad was happening and I was able to think my way through it very quickly. And I know a lot of people that I've said things like, oh, one time this happened and then I did this. And then they were like, they had a similar thing happen and they didn't do the thing I did. I'm being vague for a reason here. But they're just like, in the moment, you don't think about it. And I think, well, no, I told you the story where a similar thing happened to me and I did think about it.
Yeah.
Some people do think about it. Some people don't, is where I'm going with this. And I think the people that do think maybe they've got an extra power.
Yeah.
And I think it's just quick thinking.
I don't know, because what about like how would you characterize someone's like gut feeling? When they're like, yeah, I'm not gonna get on that train. Because
I think that it's either coincidence or sometimes a gut feeling is, I don't know about this. It doesn't feel right. It's based on experience. Maybe like if a cop is like, I don't know if we should go in there, like you see in the movies.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should go in there. It doesn't feel right. Well, that's probably because of years of experience. They're looking around. They're seeing a lot of things that they don't like, and it's adding up. And they're like, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So I've got a bit of a story. I know someone who believes in, they're called a lot of things. Divining rods, dowsing rods. They think that they can basically take wires, like from a coat hanger, like a wire coat hanger, bend it into a big L shape, hold it in their hand, and then the two coat hanger pieces will cross when they walk over water. So my question is how does two coat hangers, like from a technical standpoint or a scientific standpoint, locate water? Now, when I brought this up to that person, they said, well, I found water several times. But as you guys know from our name, or maybe you guys don't know, but the MI in My Awesome Podcast stands for Michigan. So Michigan is made up of two peninsulas. And I'll tell you, as someone who lives here, you can't go 10 miles without seeing another lake. Now, that might be a partial exaggeration in certain areas.
Yeah.
But
I
mean, even, okay, I live by a lake. There's another lake a half mile that way.
Yeah.
There is another lake 4 miles that way.
Yeah. Yeah, not to mention like
plus there's the Michigan Lake just right over there.
Yeah, and then there's like different creeks. There's water all over.
There's water all over.
Yeah.
So my point is we also sit on several different aquifers at different levels.
Yeah.
Plus the water table is high because all the lakes are around.
Yeah.
So who's to say that you couldn't dig almost anywhere and hit water? Now, are there places that you could dig and maybe not hit water? I don't know. I don't know a well company. I'm not a geologist, but I would say in Michigan, your chances are extremely high.
Yeah. Okay. So let me understand this experiment. They were walking with the two hangers coat hangers?
Yeah,
Or the-
well, dowsing
oh,
rods.
yeah,
Or
okay.
they're.
Yeah.
I saw them cut from coat hangers.
Okay.
I
And what-
literally saw them make them.
And what does the force of the water?
So you just
force
hold them.
to?
You hold them loosely,
Yeah.
and then as you walk, at a certain part, they will go. They will cross.
Mhm.
Sometimes they go this way, and sometimes
Oh.
they go that way, and sometimes they just spread out.
Yeah.
But when they cross, that's the spot you dig.
Oh,
But
interesting.
my question is tell me exactly how that works,
Yeah.
or at least give me a hint of it, or at least prove it in a scientific way. I've seen experiments where scientists have gone, this doesn't work, and we can prove it.
Mhm.
And there was one experiment where they had a backyard that they finished. They raised up several feet and then covered the entire thing with plywood.
Mhm.
Then they bust in something like 100 people, and they had 4 giant circles drawn on the plywood.
Mhm.
Now, the entire backyard is level now because it's all plywood. It's all been raised up to one level.
Mhm.
And there are 4 or 5 giant circles, and each circle had a number in it. And they would say, take your dowsing rods, and they could bring their own, or
Yeah.
they could make them, or whatever they wanted. And they were just like, tell us if there's water underneath one of them.
Mhm.
And basically the results came back that they were almost all selected evenly.
Yeah.
So one, like if there was 5 circles, I think it was 5 circles, because I think 20% of them did guess the water.
Mm.
And then later on, when the plywood was removed,
Mhm.
under one of the circles was a swimming pool.
Oh, yeah.
And so the fact that you didn't get the other one,
Mhm.
like I've seen people online say, oh, well, you can find sprinkler lines in your yard
Yeah.
with 2 coat hangers. And I think, how?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Yeah. I should give that a shot. I think there was some underground sprinkling at my property.
You know what? I've actually looked online how to locate things like that.
Yeah.
One, if they're metal, which normally sprinkler lines aren't,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
normally made out of PVC.
Mm.
You can use a metal detector.
Yeah.
But even if you are using PVC, one of the other things you can do is you can take off one of your sprinklers, buy a spool of wire, jam it down in there, and now you can use
Oh,
a
yeah.
metal detector to find them.
Yeah.
It's not actually that hard.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, oh, right.
Oh.
Just put something metal in it. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
But 2 coat hangers.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Nah, I'm not believing that either. I don't know, but you know, can't shut it down yet. Maybe there is some you know, you got to hold it just right.
Oh,
And
no,
then
that's what they
there's-
say. Yeah.
And then there's attraction power from the water that's like forcing these
Yeah.
things to,
What power? What attraction?
well there's like a connection between the water, because doesn't some water contain metal? So maybe there's like a relation to, you know, and it's just drawing these together like a magnet.
I've seen plenty of people do it online, and they'll go, look, I'm looking for my old water line or sprinkler line or whatever, or drainage line. And they do it, and then they're like, look, I found it. But one, who's to know that they didn't know exactly where it was the entire time?
Yeah, true.
Or who's to know that it isn't just like subconsciously your brain is making them move, you know?
Yeah.
And the other issue is if this was a real thing, it would be provable.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would just be able to do an experiment like they did with the 5 circles.
Mm-hmm.
But what people will do is they'll go, oh, well, I can find things in my yard or whatever. And then they go out and they show you, which is not a controlled environment.
Yeah.
It is, maybe you're remembering something. Maybe, your subconscious is saying, oh, I remember burying it here. Or maybe your brain is going, oh, well, the yard all dips to this one area. So that would make sense of that. That's where the drainage is.
Yeah. Of all these ESPs, the telepathy, the clairvoyance, precognition, if you could pick one of those powers to have, which one would it be?
Oh, like this is like the question of like, if you could be an X-Men, which one would you be?
Oh, yeah,
or if
yeah.
you could be a superhero, which
Yeah.
one would you be? Gee, I don't know. I think reading people's minds is what I'd want.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I guess the telepathy reads minds and moves things.
Oh, telekinesis?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which I guess that's not really in an option in there.
Well, I mean, if you could read people's minds, you could be like the best businessman ever.
Yeah, true.
Because you'd know exactly what they were thinking and how far they were willing to go and what the best deal you can get.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It would be great.
Yeah.
Not to mention, it would be an awesome party trick.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah, really. Yeah. Hey, to your point, yeah, why aren't people, if they got these abilities, why aren't they doing that also?
The whole thing. I'm sure we're gonna get yelled at again in the comics.
Yeah.
Or comments.
Yeah.
Comments.
Yeah.
Comics.
Yeah. I don't necessarily want to sound so like I don't know.
Negative?
Yeah, and closed-minded, but I mean, I don't know. Like you did
No,
say.
I don't think it's closed-minded at all.
Yeah.
I think it's being realistic.
Yeah.
And I think in today's day and age where there's so much misinformation going around,
Yeah.
we all need a hard dose of reality.
Yeah.
Let me look right into the camera.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Magic isn't real.
Yeah. And if you've got those powers, I mean, you gotta you can cover your face and then display your powers. Like if you don't want your identity to be revealed,
What are you asking for? Videos to be sent to us?
Yeah, listen, for anybody watching, if you have any of these powers, reach out to me in the comments. I will make sure that your identity stays safe, and then we will work through getting you the recognition that you deserve.
The medical attention that you probably need.
Listen,
I mean, I'm sure, the one guy was like, or was it a woman? I don't even know. The person in the comments was like, astral projecting. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Prove it in a scientific way, which is what you wrote.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, I'm just waiting for the, video confirmation of that.
Yeah.
So, I'm here to support.
I mean, if you really had powers, I hope that you have somehow used these powers because you should be like the most famous person ever on the planet.
They may not want fame, but you got to use your powers for good. There's a lot of suffering.
Stop playing into their delusions. Listen, if you guys can tell me how much you hate this topic down in the comments, that would be great because that seems to be what people are telling us. Or if you can prove your powers, we'd love to know it.
Yeah, I'm not skeptical like Mike, so.
Why do you always wimp out at the last second? We got something else that's recorded that the ending might be cut because of participation problems. All right, I'm all set. Do you have anything else?
No, I'm all good.
Okay. I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Bye.